The Pentagon halts Biden transition briefings as Patriot militias are indeed infiltrating government at all levels. In this video, we're going to take a look at the shocking announcement that the Pentagon is keeping Biden out of military briefings, how members of the Oath Keepers are winning elections and holding office across the country, and how a new political alliance is indeed forming that promises to make America more conservative than ever. You are not going to want to miss this. Welcome everyone, Dr. Steve here with you, ready to bring you our latest episode celebrating the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. We would love to have you as a regular part of this channel, where each and every day we focus on optimism and encouragement in the midst of all the defeatist fake news nonsense spewed out by the mainstream media. But first, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's collagen, available at my special website, healthwithsteveturley.com. Now, if you don't know, collagen may indeed be the closest thing we'll ever get to a real fountain of youth. Many health experts now agree that consuming collagen helps to renew and revitalize how you look and how you feel. Taking collagen regularly can revitalize your body, can make your skin, your bones, even your hair look and feel more healthy and youthful. I use it every day. I put in my coffee in the morning. It's great. And if you click on that link below today, you will get 51% off your order. So do not wait. It's a limited time offer. Click on that link below today and get your own collagen supply. You will be glad that you did. All right, let's dive right in here. Axios is reporting that the Pentagon has officially halted Joe Biden transition briefings. Again, this is from Axios, quote, Acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller, who, by the way, is a Trump loyalist. We'll get into that in a moment, the significance of that. Acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller ordered a Pentagon-wide halt to cooperation with the transition of President-elect Biden. Shocking officials across the Defense Department, senior administration officials tell Axios. Miller's move, which stunned officials throughout the Pentagon, was the biggest eruption yet of animus and mistrust toward the Biden team from the top level of the Trump administration. Meetings between President Trump's team and the Biden team are going on throughout the government after a delayed start as the administration dragged its feet, officially recognizing Biden as president-elect. Then on Thursday night, Miller, who was appointed November 9th when Trump fired Defense Secretary Mark Esper right after the election, ordered officials throughout the building to cancel scheduled transition meetings. Closed quote. Now, the Biden campaign is playing this down, but obviously Axios is not. Now, this is interesting because it represents, I believe, the latest move by the Trump team within the Defense Department. Just days after November 3rd, Trump fired the Defense Secretary and several other top officials at the Pentagon, and instead replaced them with loyalists, which, I mean, you got to wonder, why didn't Trump do that sooner? But regardless, and then his new Secretary of Defense, a fellow by the name of Chris Miller, almost immediately transferred special forces away from military leadership and put them under his civilian leadership. This was reported on by Politico. Very interesting stuff for sure. Now, these military maneuvers by the Trump administration, that led one writer over at The Root to publish the headline, "I'm not saying Donald Trump is planning a coup, but he's doing exactly what someone would do if they were planning a coup." And this fellow over at The Root makes the very interesting observation. Here's what he writes, quote, "The one area of genuine uncertainty related to whether Team Trump could convince the military to deploy active duty troops domestically, the Transition Integrity Project," this is a bunch of never-Trumpers who put together a white paper on how Trump was going to try to, stay in power after Biden wins. I wonder how they knew he would win, but I digress. This white paper eventually concluded that the military leaders would almost certainly refuse to carry out Trump's unconstitutional orders. But what if the military leaders weren't military leaders? And then he gets into the fact, days after November 3rd, Trump fired the Secretary of Defense, replacing him with the loyalist, who in turn started putting special forces under his command, under civilian command. So what all this amounts to is that this latest move by the Trump administration to halt all briefings, all Pentagon briefings with the Biden transition team, this just further underscores that the real activity that's going on right now with Trump seems centered in the halls of the Pentagon and special forces. So we're obviously going to have to keep our eyes on how things develop there. Now, at the same time, in a related issue, there have been a number of articles written that are observing some significant activity going on among the 500 plus Patriot militias throughout the nation. Check this out. Again, this is from Politico. How the Oath Keepers are quietly infiltrating local government. Now, if you don't know, the Oath Keepers are one of the largest, if not the largest, Patriot militia group among the over 500 plus militia groups in the United States today. That number's been surging of late. The number of militias in the nation's doubled, more than doubled in the last 10 years. The Oath Keepers were formed back in 2009. Many of their members are indeed current and former law enforcement as well as military personnel who fought in Afghanistan and Iraq. And that's what this political article focuses on. They highlight Hood County, Texas, which is a good conservative community right outside of Fort Worth. And the article zeroes in on their constable. Okay, so constables in Texas are akin to sheriffs. They're elected to office once every 4 years. They can appoint deputies and the like. And the constable of Hood County is a proud and very open member of the Oath Keepers. And he's not alone. There are actually several Oath Keepers who hold office in Hood County, particularly law enforcement office. The Atlantic did a fascinating article of late on how pro-Trump militias have recruited thousands of police, soldiers, and veterans across the nation. And what's so interesting here, of course, is that historically, Patriot militias tended to be anti-government. They tend to see, well, particularly the federal government grow in its excessive powers and the like. And they saw recruitment of patriots to do something about that. They can band together and form a kind of armed resistance inspired by the Second Amendment's well-armed militia rhetoric as a counterforce against the federal government's increasingly intrusive and coercive powers. But now we're actually seeing this kind of mobilization begin to exercise its own political power as more and more militia members are infiltrating particularly local governments and law enforcement. This is obviously related to Trump and what he's doing in fighting back against the swamp and the deep state. Now, before we get into that, I do want to personally invite you to our exclusive New Year's virtual conference on January 9th, 2021, to help you feel prepared for the year ahead. So we're going to give you the information you need to remain strong and vigilant and confident, whatever may come, precisely because we're going to give you a long-term perspective that will give you the assurance you need to head into the new year with confidence and resolve. Now, seating for the conference is limited, and to make it even better, as of today, we've got our early bird sale. It's the last day, so you can take advantage of this. It ends Friday tonight at midnight. And if you join our Insiders Club, by the way, you can get even a bigger discount. So don't wait. Make sure to click on that link below. Take advantage of our early bird registration special, which ends this Friday. And you'll be glad to know that a portion of the proceeds will go to Good Neighbors Home Repair. So not only are you going to be blessed as a result of this conference, but you're going to bless others with your registration as well. So don't wait. Click on that link below and register for our New Year's virtual conference today. All right. So broadly speaking, this new political realignment that we're seeing is what scholars call a populist realignment. It's one of our chief focuses on this channel. And what we have to understand here is that populism is a different kind of political paradigm that we've been used to over the last several decades. So simply put, the paradigm that increasingly defines our politics is no longer organized around a partisan animosity between Democrats versus Republicans, or right versus left, or ideologically, right, conservative versus liberal, or even big government versus small government. Instead, the new political paradigm that's dominating our nation is one organized around the animosity between the people versus the political class. It's a clash between the ruled versus their rulers. And so what characterizes populists is a deep-seated suspicion, indeed a radical hostility towards our elite class, our political, our corporate, our media elites, who are seen as ruling for their own benefit, for their own gain, rather than for the benefit and gain of those they claim to represent. Populists are united by the notion that the customs, cultures, and traditions of a nation are best preserved when taken out of the hands of the ruling elite and placed back in the hands of ordinary citizens. That's That's the new political paradigm that's emerging really all over the world, and it's in response to globalism, which is governed by a globalist elite who are technically known in scholarly literature as an expert class, a class of technocrats who supposedly have the expertise to govern the single political and economic worldwide system, which we popularly know today as globalism. Now, as part of this political paradigm shift, if you're a regular to this channel, you know that we've been analyzing how the race riots over last summer and the ways in which Democrat city councils were throwing law enforcement under the bus, that was in fact politically and socially realigning our nation to two fundamentally different groups marked by two different regional organizations. So on the one side, of course, you've got the BLM and Antifa forces taking over our municipalities, precisely like we're seeing in Portland right now, right? With the new autonomous zone being formed there. I think there's even a second one. You have the increasingly monopolistic leftist forces taking over cities and urban environments on the one hand. And on the other side, you have, in effect, well, everyone else. You've got everyone and anyone who doesn't buy into the whole BLM, Antifa fomented cultural Marxism. And this group is particularly characterized by white working class rural voters who they live in the suburbs, the exurbs. Remember, this is the constituency that gave Trump the election in 2016. During the primaries, Trump won more than 150 counties where at least 8 in 10 people were whites working without college degrees, working class voters. And then the election itself was even more stunning in states like Wisconsin and Iowa and Michigan, Pennsylvania, even Minnesota. There were nearly 200 counties that voted for the Democratic candidate by a 20-point margin in every single presidential election since Walter Mondale, going all the way back to 1984. They actually switched and voted for Trump by a comparable 20-point margin. So make no mistake, this political realignment is in effect forming new coalitions, new bromances, as it were, most especially that what we're seeing between what would have otherwise been hostile groups, in this case, armed militias and law enforcement. So I think this new alliance is but a microcosm of the larger macrocosmic alliances that are forming that signal a surging populist movement that in many respects is only just beginning. It does appear that groups like the Oath Keepers are indeed here to stay. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you'll definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it on how lawmakers in the nation of Hungary have amended their constitution to officially recognize parents as male and female. It is a conservative backlash in Europe you're going to absolutely love, and you're not going to want to miss that video. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.